The river had always been Anna's favorite place. As a child, she would sit on the wooden bench by the water, listening to the soft murmur of the current. It was where she read her favorite books, where she dreamed of grand adventures, and where she first met Daniel. She had noticed him before, a young man with paint-stained fingers and a thoughtful expression. Every evening he sat on a nearby rock, sketching in his notebook as the sun set behind the hills. He always seemed lost in his own world, just as she was lost in hers. Then one evening he finally spoke. "What are you reading?" Anna looked up, startled. His dark eyes were full of quiet curiosity. His lips curled into a slight smile. She hesitated, then held up her book. "It's a story about a girl who falls in love with a boy who has to leave." Daniel chuckled. "Sounds dramatic." "Maybe," she admitted, "but I like stories with big feelings." That was the first night they talked, and from then on, they met by the river every evening. They talked about books, about art, about the dreams they were too afraid to share with anyone else. "What do you want most in the world?" Anna asked him one night. Daniel hesitated. Then he said, "To paint something that will be remembered." "And you?" he asked. She smiled softly. "To love someone who won't leave." For months their world was only each other. Daniel painted her, capturing the way her hair caught the sunlight, the way she smiled when she thought no one was watching. Anna wrote about him, filling her notebooks with words that tried to capture the way he made her feel. And then one autumn afternoon it all changed. They met by the river as always, but this time Daniel's expression was different. He held her hands tightly, his fingers slightly cold. "I have to go," he said. Anna's heart stopped. "Go where?" "Paris," he said. "I got accepted to an art school. It's my only chance." The words echoed in her mind, sharp and painful. "For how long?" she whispered. Daniel looked away. "A year. Maybe more." A lump formed in her throat. "Will you come back?" He cupped her face, his eyes filled with something she couldn't quite name. "I promise," he whispered. "I'll write to you every day." And at first he did. His letters arrived every week, pages filled with excitement. He wrote about Paris, about the narrow streets and the smell of fresh bread from the bakeries. He wrote about his paintings, about the people he met. And always, at the end of every letter, he wrote, "I miss you. I love you. Wait for me." Anna wrote back, telling him about life at home, about how she still sat by the river, waiting for him to return. But slowly the letters changed. They became shorter, less frequent. He stopped saying he missed her. Then one day they stopped coming at all. Anna told herself there must be a reason. Maybe he was busy. Maybe his letters had gotten lost. But deep down she knew the truth. Then one winter afternoon she saw the newspaper. She had gone to town to buy ink for her writing when a headline caught her eye. It was an article about a rising young artist in Paris. Daniel. His picture was on the front page. He stood beside a beautiful woman, her golden hair shining under the lights. The article called her his fiancée. Anna stared at the words, her fingers tightening around the paper. The world around her blurred, but she felt strangely calm, as if she had always known this would happen. That evening she walked to the river. The air was cold and the trees were bare, stripped of their golden leaves. She pulled the last letter he had written from her pocket. The ink had faded, but she knew every word by heart. For a long moment she held it in her hands. Then with a deep breath she let it go. The letter floated down, landing softly on the water. The current carried it away, taking with it the last piece of a love that had never truly belonged to her. Anna whispered, "Goodbye, my love," and for the first time in a long time she felt free.